Good morning, Year 4. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Thursday. So we are nearly finished with our decimals unit, but we've still got a couple more lessons to go. So let's crack straight on with it. So what I would like you to do, please, for your do now, is can you round these decimals to the nearest whole number? So you've got two sort of easiest ones, two medium ones, and then one harder one. And then for those of you that want to push yourself even further, we've got a challenge at the bottom for you. And of course, those really memorable steps to success that we use for all rounding on the left-hand side. Okay, pause the video now and get started with the do now. Great, so hopefully you've had a chance to go through the do now. Let's have a look at the answers. Grab yourself a different color pen or pencil. So we've got all the answers for you there. And for the challenge, the smallest number that could be, the smallest decimal that could be rounded to 300 would be 299.5, and the largest would be 300.4. So our walk for today is to multiply and divide by 10 with decimals. So let's look at some of those star words that I want to hear you guys using in your own work. So if you can repeat after me, please. Divisor, multiplier, decimal point, place value. Excellent stuff. So most of those words you will have come across before, but are really important. So I know you guys are really comfortable with multiplying numbers by 10 and by 100 when we're looking at whole numbers, but you won't have done it yet whilst looking at decimals. So, as an example, 11.2 multiplied by 10. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to represent this using these counters here. So we don't have any hundreds in 11.2. We have 110. We have 1. We, of course, have our decimal point. We have 2 tenths. And we don't have any hundredths in 11.2. So, looking at our steps to success, the first thing we've got to do is check the operation. Now, this is really important. Is it multiply or is it divide? So we can see here, it is multiply, and it's going to make a big difference. So it's important you always remember this first step, however basic it seems. So we're going to be multiplying. Then, sort of like yesterday, step 2 splits into 2 parts depending on whether we're multiplying or dividing. We are going to be multiplying, as we know. So if we're multiplying by 10, move the digits left 1 place value. So using this chart should make it really nice and clear. If we're multiplying by 10, we move each number left 1 place value. So we'll start with the tens. So that 110 is going to become 100. The 1 ones is going to become 110. And then the 2 tenths are going to become 2 ones. And then step 3, write 0 as a placeholder if in the columns if needed. Well, we don't really have one. We don't need one. You could put one after the decimal point if you really wanted, but there's no need to. So we can see that 11.2 times 10 equals 100, 110, 2 ones, and then you can put 0.0, but if there's nothing after the decimal point, there's no point in putting the decimal there at all. So 11.2 multiplied by 10 equals 112. So let's give another one of those a go. So this time, the number that we're going to be using is 22.1. So let's quickly put that on our chart. So again, there aren't any hundreds there. There are 2 tens in 22.1. There are 2 ones. And there is 1 tenth. And of course, our decimal point in there as well. So, step 1, check the operation. Now, are we multiplying here or are we dividing? Looking at the question, are we multiplying or dividing? You can see we are dividing. So that means this step that we used last time isn't needed because we're not multiplying. So we'll move on to the second branch of that. If dividing by 10, which we are, move the digits right one place value. So when we multiply, we move the digits left one place value. If we're multiplying by 10, dividing by 10, we move them right one place value. So this time we'll start with the tenths as it's our lowest place value. And that 1/10 is going to become 1/100th. Those 2 ones are going to become 2/10. And those 2 tens are going to become 2 ones. Therefore, and then write a 0 as a placeholder in the columns if needed. We don't have a placeholder here because all of our columns that are together have been filled up. So 22.1 divided by 10 equals 2 ones. Our decimal point, of course, which is really important to remember, our 2/10, and our 1/100th. So 22.1 divided by 10 is 2.21. So remember, when we're dividing, the number needs to be getting smaller because that can be sharing out, for example. Whereas if we're multiplying, we're doing lots of, therefore the number needs to get bigger. So we can see that we've done it the right way, that 22.1 has got smaller to 2.21. Now, those counters are really helpful when we're working that out, but what happens if you do not have any of those counters? So, what we're going to do is we're going to write this number in our place value chart. So we've got 67.9 divided by 10. Again, there aren't any hundreds, but there are 6 tens, 7 ones, decimal point, 9 tenths, but there aren't any hundreds. So what's the first thing that I need to do? Because the steps remain exactly the same. What is the first thing I need to do? Well, I need to check the operation to see whether we are multiplying or dividing. Which am I doing? Am I multiplying or am I dividing? Good stuff. We can see that I am dividing there. If multiplying by 10, move the digits left one place value. Do we need this section here? No, we don't, because we're not multiplying by 10. We are dividing by 10. If dividing by 10, move the digits right one place value. So we need to move the digits right. So remember, the decimal point stays exactly as it is. The decimal point doesn't move at all. It's the numbers on either side of it that move, depending on whether we're dividing or multiplying. You can see the decimal always stays in the same place. So if we're dividing by 10, move the digits right one place value. So that means the tenths, those 9 tenths, become 9 hundredths. Those 7 ones become 7 tenths. And those 6 tens become 6 ones. Do we need a 0 as a placeholder anywhere? No, because this number is absolutely fine as it is. There are no blank columns that need to be filled in this number. So we can see that 67.9 divided by 10 equals 6.79. 6.79. And we can see that dividing is making the number smaller. So that's certainly looking like we're on the right track. Okay, so our next one here, 4.89 times 10. 4.89 times by 10. So step 1, check the operation, multiply or divide. Are we multiplying or are we dividing in this? Are we multiplying or dividing? Good, we are multiplying, absolutely, it says so there. Now, what is the lowest place value? what is the highest place value? Is it hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, or hundreds in this number here? Good, it's going to be ones, because there are 4 of those. Decimal point, 8 tenths, and 9 hundredths. Now, step 2, if multiplying by 10, move the digits left 1 place. Do we need this step? Are we multiplying by 10? Yes, we are. We are multiplying by 10, so we do need this step. So if multiplying by 10, move the digits left 1 place value. So if we need to move it left 1 place value, the 4 ones are going to become 4 tens. The 8 tenths are going to become 8. Are they going to become 8 ones or 8 hundredths? The 8 tenths are going to become 8 ones because we're moving left. The decimal point always stays the same. And then the 9 hundredths are going to become 9 tenths. Very good. Now, because we're multiplying by 10, am I expecting the number to get bigger or smaller than the original one? Of course, we're multiplying by 10, so we're expecting it to get bigger. Let's see if that's happened. So 4.89 multiplied by 10 is 48.9. Has it got bigger? Yes, it has. It's got 10 times bigger. Excellent job. So, what I'm going to ask you to do now, I'm going to leave this one completely up to you. So I will write the number in the top here. So we've got 75.8 divided by 10. So can you go through the steps to success? Pause the video now. Can you do 75.8 divided by 10? Off you go. Okay, let's see how you got on with that one. So are we going to be multiplying or are we going to be dividing? We are dividing. So we don't need this step here. We can go straight on to this part. If we're dividing by 10, move digits right 1 place value. So we're moving them right 1 place value. So the 8 tenths become 8 hundredths because we're moving them right. The 5 ones are going to become 5 tenths. The 7 tens are going to become 7 ones. And of course, that decimal point always staying in the same place. We move the numbers, not the decimal point. So, if we're dividing by 10, we're expecting the number to get, is it going to get bigger or smaller? It should get smaller. Dividing should make the number smaller. 7.58. Excellent. It has done that. It has become 10 times smaller. So, I have a feeling that you guys are really, really going to do very well on this. What you've got here is 9 questions, 9 equations that I would like you to solve, where you're either going to be dividing by 10 or multiplying by 10. So, pause the video now, and can you crack on with these 9 questions here? Best of luck. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a chance to finish those. Grab your different color pen or pencil. Let's look at the answers here. There we go. I think the only one that might be hard to see on your screen is this one here. It says 1321.9. So, for the next part, we're going to be doing a very similar thing. We're still multiplying and dividing by 10 with decimals, but we've got a few word questions that we're going to use instead. So, Miss Chowdhury has 67.4 kilograms of pancake mix, and I wouldn't be surprised, it's her favorite food. Mr. Parker has 10 times that amount. How much pancake mix does Mr. Parker have? So, the first thing we're going to do, which is the number that we're going to be either multiplying or dividing with? What's the part that we need there? So it's going to be the amount of pancake mix that Miss Chowdhury has, which is 67.4 kilograms. Now, I need to check the operation. Are we going to be multiplying or are we going to be dividing? As this is a word question, it's slightly harder to work out, so we're going to have to sort of use a bit of our inference here. So Miss Chowdhury has this much pancake mix. Mr. Parker has 10 times that amount. How much do I have? Well, if I've got 10 times as much as Miss Chowdhury, we need to work out what her amount is multiplied by 10. So the operation that we need there is going to be multiply. And then from here, it's very much the same as what we were doing before. If we're multiplying by 10, which we are, we move the digits to the left one place. So the 6 tens become 6 hundreds. The 7 ones become 7 tens. And the 4 tenths become 4 ones. And as we no longer have any numbers after the decimal point, we don't need to write 674.0. It wouldn't be wrong, but it's not needed. We can just write 674 because it's now become a whole number. So the answer would be 674 kilograms of pancake mix. Well, there we go. And has our answer got bigger? Yeah, it has. 674 is much bigger than 67.4. Okay, so for this one here, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and see if you can work out this one here. So Hassan walks 7.9 miles a week. So 7.9 miles a week. So how far does he walk per day? Remember to go through the steps to success in order. So he walks 7.9 miles in a week. How far does he walk per day? Pause the video now. See if you can give that a go. Right, guys. So hopefully you've had a good chance at that and had a good go at that. If you're struggling a little bit, that's absolutely fine. We'll talk through this together. So we know how much Hassan has walked in a week. We need to know how much he has walked in a day. So how many days are there in a week? So there are 7 days in a week. There are 7 days. 7 days in a week. Sorry, excuse me, guys. I can see that I've made a mistake. So sorry, guys. We've been multiplying and dividing by 10. I don't know what's wrong with it. I do make a mistake every so often, as you guys well know. Sorry if some of you are struggling to figure that out. We're going to be looking at Hassan walks 7.9 miles in 10 days, not in a week, in 10 days. How far does he walk per day? This should make it a bit more straightforward for those of you that were struggling. So I apologize about that. So if he walks 7.9 miles in 10 days, and we want to know how much he walks in 1 day, are we going to be multiplying or are we going to be dividing there? Well, we are going to be dividing. We're going to be dividing by 10, because if we know what he walks in 10 days, we want to find out what a tenth of that is. So we're going to be dividing. So we don't need to worry about if multiplying by 10. We go straight on to if dividing by 10, move the digits right one place value. So maybe this will help now. So pause the video. We're dividing by 10, so you need to move the digits right one place value. So see if you can do that without me. Pause the video now. Okay, so let's see how you got on with that. So we're moving we're moving all the numbers right one place value because we're dividing. So the 9 tenths become 9 hundredths. The 7 ones are becoming 7 tenths. Decimal point stays the same. And then write a 0 as a placeholder in the columns if needed. Do we need a placeholder here? Yes, we do. We can't just put 0.79. We need to make sure that we have 0 ones ahead of that. So, in that case, Hassan walks 0.79 miles per day. And I apologize with the initial in a week. So 0.7 miles a day. So what you've got now, set exactly the same steps to success, and you have 4-word questions for you to do, okay, where you're going to be multiplying or dividing by 10. So pause your video now, see how you get on with this. Off you go. All right, so grab your different color pen and or pencil. Let's see how you got on. There we go. Pause the video if you want to just go through and mark those. Excellent. So now we're going to move on to our reasoning. So you've still got the steps to success there. First one, is this statement true? 3.4 times 10 equals 340. And can you explain your reasoning? Number 2, Holly has multiplied a number by 10. Her answer has 4 hundreds and 2 ones. So what was the original number? And then true or false, a 2-digit number divided by 10 always gives an answer with 1 decimal place. And then prove it. Okay, so pause the video now, off you go. So let's have a look at your reasoning. So this 3.4 times 10 equals 340, of course, is false. The answer has been moved 2 place values rather than 1, and it should be 34. Question 2. Well, if her new answer has 4 hundreds and 2 ones, it's going to be 402, which means that to work that out, we need to divide 402 by 10, which would give us 40.2. And then false, a 2-digit number divided by 10 doesn't always give an answer with 1 decimal place. For example, any number that ends in a 0, like 90, so anything in the tens, 90 divided by 10 would be 9, so not 1 decimal place. Very well done. And then finally, we have got 3 mistakes here for your challenge where someone has been dividing by 10. 3 different mistakes on the same question. Can you explain the mistakes that they've made? What have these 3 people done incorrectly to get these answers? So, pause the video now. Right, and let's have a look at these now. So, with the first mistake, they have multiplied this one by 10. So 42 times 10 would be 420. Number 2, they've moved the place value over twice. So it should be 0.42 rather than, it should be 4.2 rather than 0.42. So they've moved over the place value 1 too many times. And then with this one here, 0.2 is not the same as a remainder of 2. So remainder 2 is not the same as 0.2. So that's the mistake they've made there. Right, guys, really, really well done today. Excellent work. I apologize about that mistake, Hassan, especially with the walk. But I think you will have handled that really, really well. And tomorrow we're going to be finishing off our decimals by multiplying and dividing by 100 rather than 10. Which is very much the same thing. So I think you'll do very well at it. Well, thank you very much, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.